a couple times in the next few minutes, but I'm probably one of the laziest people you're gonna ever meet. Trust me, ask my boyfriend. If it's out of reach, then it's not important enough to have. While in most aspects of my life, this laziness is a hindrance. It's actually what got me into the environmental movement in the first place. I'll explain. So, 2 years ago, at the beginning of my sophomore year, I wasn't involved in anything except for like school and friends and weekends and stuff like that. And then one day, I was getting ready to go work out in the gym because I was having, those semester resolutions that always end like the second week. Well, as I was leaving, a friend of mine from down the hall was leaving too, but he was going to a Student Environmental Alliance meeting. I'd never really heard of them before, but he asked me if I wanted to go. So I decided to go because anything sounds better than working out. And when I went, the first meeting was kind of lame, but it was fun and it was better than working out. So I decided to keep going. And I went the next week and the next. And then my friends stopped going, but I just kept. I essentially had gotten sucked in. At first, as anyone new to a group, I didn't really participate. I just kind of went to the meetings and that was about it. The first thing that really pulled me in was hearing about this event called Midwest Power Shift. I'd never heard of Power Shift before, but it was cheap, sounded kind of fun, and I'd never been to Cleveland before, so I decided to go. As anyone here who went to Midwest Power Shift knows, it was pretty amazing. I'd never been in a protest before, let alone a march, through the streets of Cleveland, screaming at the top of my lungs. That's what got me hooked. After Power Shift, I just had to get more involved. I joined the e-board of Student Environmental Alliance my second semester, and then I joined Take Back the Tap as well, and that's just where my involvement started. There are a few reasons why I love the environmental movement so much. First is what we're working on is one of, if not the most important causes there is. I've had plenty of people laugh at me when I say this, but the way I see it is that if we don't have a livable planet, then we don't have anything. If we can't breathe the air or drink the water, then the economy is the last thing we're going to be worried about. As I learned more and more about the environment and the way the world works, it's becoming increasingly clear that everything is connected. Every person, plant, animal, rock, it's all connected. Not in the 7 degrees of separation sort of way, but in the sense that we all live on the same planet, and that choices that we make affect situations all throughout the world. Let's say I have a car. If I were to buy parking gas and drive my car to campus every day, think of all the greenhouse gases I'd be emitting into the atmosphere over the course of a semester. Now add that to all the greenhouse gases that are emitted by all the other lazy college students, along with the energy we use and all the other people that are driving on the roads. Eventually, that amount of greenhouse gases adds up until we're changing the climate, and there's superstorms of the century every couple of years. That's just crazy. There's storms of the century. They're not supposed to happen twice in a decade. It just blows me away that there's all this proof that we're anthropologically affecting our world, and yet some people think that the most important issue today is gun control. Without a healthy world for us to live in, there's no way we can live healthy lives. With all this negative change, it feels really good to be doing something about it. That's another reason why I love the environmental movement. We're making real change. One example that's already been mentioned once today is the Take Back the Tap movement here at Central. We've been here for about 2.5 years, and through that entire time we were working towards getting a resolution passed in our student government. Finally, last fall it got passed after 4 times. Now that we were able to say that we have the student body support, we approached our administration and finally got a commitment to end the sale of bottled water on campus by 2015. Exactly. That is an amazing accomplishment. But it wasn't just us that did it. We had a lot of help. We had help from stuff like our parent organization, Take Back the Tap. Plus, most of our e-board members have had some sort of grassroots organization training. This is another reason why I love the environmental movement. There are so many opportunities. Every semester, there's some sort of training or conference or gathering to go to, and most of these are cheap or pretty much free. I mean, we're all here, right? This is a summit, this is a gathering. And the skills that we learn today and that we're learning tomorrow and that we learn at events like this isn't just helping us with our grassroots movement, it's helping us in our everyday lives. We're going to use these skills for years to come in our professional lives as well. And learning isn't the only awesome part about events like this. It's also about the adventure. For most people here, it only took about 2 hours to get here, to drive here, and it took me about 5 since I live right around here. But driving from Mount Pleasant to Washington, D.C., that's an adventure, and I've done that twice personally. Since I joined the environmental movement, I've been way more places than I ever went before, and it's all because of this. It's all because of this cause that we're working on right now. It's great that people are so passionate about the environment, that they're willing to plan these events, and that they're willing to put so much time and effort into things that might not even affect them in their lifetime. I love people of the environmental movement. Of all the people that I've met over the last couple of years, I've met very few that I didn't like, and many of them I would consider my friends. There are a few things that you need to be an environmentalist, and those couple things are stubborn and selfless. You need to be stubborn because we get pushed down a lot. We get denied, we get told no, we get stopped so many times. But if we want something to happen, we just need to get back up, brush ourselves off, and push back harder, or else no change would happen. And then selfless. I don't know a single selfish environmentalist, but it almost seems like an oxymoron. But that makes sense, because the whole premise of the environmental movement is caring about something other than yourself. I've seen people give up their lunch and dinner money to help bail someone out of jail. I've dropped money on the floor, because then also it floods. I've dropped money on the floor and had someone pick it up and ask me if it was mine, and not just pocket it like a normal human being would. I've even seen people risk their futures to get arrested for the causes that they care about. And to tell you the truth, I would even consider being arrested for an environmental cause that I cared about, which is pretty much all of them. If I got arrested for drinking or something, I'd probably start crying because I'm just a baby. But if I had the opportunity to get arrested for a cause that I felt would make real change, I would do it. Because that's how much I care about stuff like this. Just don't tell my parents I said that. This motivation to do something that I never would have considered before is my last big reason that I love the environmental movement. Like I said, I'm excruciatingly lazy. But when it's work that has to be done on projects or research for an environmental cause, I'm all about it. I love it. It's so much fun. Heck, I went out multiple times this week for over an hour in the cold, collecting giant bags of water bottles for this igloo that we're about to make. I don't know anything else that would make me walk up and down stairs because I'm sustainable and I don't use the elevator. You know, it's hard being sustainable sometimes. But I don't know anything else that would give me this motivation to do it. To do something like that. But it's great. There's definitely a lot of battles that environmentalists have lost. But just because we lose doesn't mean we give up. And eventually, after a lot of hard work, we will achieve our goals.